implications of physical treatment. Psychotherapy should be provided. Psychotherapy for overvalued ideas like anorexia nervosa works best in groups if possible. Group psychotherapy possible, and they direct themselves to psychosocial conflicts, especially for women. And family therapy for children and adolescents is what I think should be prescribed now, and needs to be done by people who are not into the simply affirming thing, but interesting to understand. And certainly, I believe no physical treatments of hormones or surgery or anything should be done to anybody under the age of, well, in my opinion, 21. What are the basic facts that I think are quite clear? One, sex is not changeable. You can't change that. What you have, and what we're talking about here, are people who are quite clearly males and females. The products of surgery, and of hormones for that matter, are not to change your sex, but to produce a counterfeit example of the sex. You are a counterfeit sex. Now, it may be that our world will not have trouble accepting that, but in my opinion, and what I say to my patients, and by the way, many of the men are accepting this idea, why have surgery? Why listen to the doctors? If you think that what you want to do is what you want to do, why don't you just do it and leave us alone and see how it works out for you? And if you want to protest and holler at the world, holler at them why they won't accept you even, the way you're built. Bruce Jenner has not had what they call bottom surgery for a very good reason. He knows, as he said, that's where the fun is. So he's not going to have that. And I say the same thing. I go, look, why, if you want to live like a woman, or if you want to live like a man, why don't you do it? This is America. You can do it, and the like. And we'll see. The contemporary battle, though, in my opinion, is a battle over civil rights, but it shouldn't be. It's a battle over what constitutes the truth about human nature, especially when surgery is mad. If truth becomes what one wants, then truth will depend on who has the power to assert it. That's just very simple. And right now, there is a struggle to determine who has that power. And the LGBT, I can tell you, is winning in this explosive phase of this craze. It's got the government behind it. It's got everybody behind it. And it's interesting to fight so many people right at the moment. Now, so what do I do now? I reject the idea that sex gender is fluid. I want to call attention to the facts. The facts are that the vast majority of young people, young children and adolescents who think they are gender dysphoric change their minds over time if left alone, okay? 80 to 90% of them. In DSM, they say up to 98% of them even have been shown. The outcomes of physical therapies, I want to point out, many come to regret it. Both children, young people, and families. I'm clamoring for real science, okay? Comparative studies of psychology as against physical therapies and more long-term follow-ups and the like. I think that's what we should all be calling for. Stop these treatments right now that fundamentally paint a person into a corner and from which they can't recover, while real science, real programs start studying what we know about sex and decide what the science shows, and then we can talk about what these witnesses want to say. I'm not against people witnessing to what they experience and my being interested in listening to them, but when they claim that the science is on their side and the science is what tells them and that the science is the authority, well, I think that should be studied closely because I don't think it's true.